This is gonna sound fake, but I promise you it isn't. Right now, there's a 99% chance your mom is still carrying a tiny piece of you around. And I don't mean in some fuzzy, warm way. I mean your actual cells, your DNA, still living inside her body where it's been sitting for years. Scientists kept bumping into this. Cells inside mothers that the mothers never made. Different DNA that, by every rule we had, should have been dead and gone a long time ago. But they weren't. And when people finally worked out where they came from and how far they traveled, it sort of wrecked the whole idea of where you end and someone else begins. The wild thing is, nobody was even looking for this. They were just studying the blood of pregnant women. Dull, everyday lab work. And they figured they'd see the obvious. Her blood, her cells, her DNA. One person top to bottom. But something was off. There were cells in there running a completely different genetic code, like a stranger had quietly let themselves into her bloodstream. So first instinct was contamination, right? Dirty slide, mixed up samples, someone fumbled the handoff, stuff like that happens. It wasn't that though. They ran it again, ran it a third time, and the answer just wouldn't budge. Those cells belonged to the baby. A baby that hadn't even been born yet was already leaving little pieces of it inside its mom. And this wasn't a 1 in a million fluke. It was happening basically in every pregnancy, quietly the entire time, and nobody ever noticed. But here's the thing, the cells being there isn't even the crazy part. The crazy part is what they'd end up doing. To get why this is so strange, you've got to picture the placenta for a second. For the longest time, we thought it was like a wall. Mom on one side, baby on the other. Two sealed off little worlds, kept safely apart from each other. Yeah, that's not really it. It's more like a door, and things go through that door. The baby cells slip across, they leave the baby, cross into the mother's blood, and just start going places. Through her veins, past her organs, just all over. Sit with that for a second. Before you even have a name, you're already wandering around inside your own mom. That's pretty crazy. There's a term for this. It's called fetal microchimerism. The chimera part comes from the old myth, the creature stitched together out of more than one animal, which kind of fits your mom because basically that's what a mom is, two people in one body. And this is right about where the story should have ended because everyone was completely sure these cells came with a shelf life. And honestly, the reason it was airtight, baby's born, cords cut, but since it's gone, connection's over, right? The cells should break down, wash away, and be gone within weeks. Guess who dropped by and headed home? The end. That's what the textbook said for years. They come in, they go out, simple. But there was still that question that kept poking at people. What if you just waited, checked again later? Not weeks later, years later. So they tried it. They tested women who gave birth way back. Their kids now fully grown. Some of the kids moved out, had families on their own. And then when they went digging for those cells that didn't match the mom, they found them every single time. And not a few little sad leftovers barely hanging on either. Living, working cells carrying the kid's DNA. Years after that kid had grown up and walked out the door, the guest hadn't left. They'd settled in for good. And the more anyone dug, the weirder it got. This next piece is the part that gives people chills at night. It got me too, honestly. Researchers wanted to be 100% sure these cells came from a child, not from somewhere else in the mother's own body. So they picked out one thing to hunt for, the Y chromosome. That's the male marker. A woman's body can't make any on its own. End of story. So if you find one inside of a mom, that's really only one way it got there, a son. They looked at women who had boys, sometimes decades back, and there it was, a male cell, a son's DNA lit right up inside his mom. These weren't young women. Some were in their 70s, 80s, whole lifetimes had gone by and still buried in their tissues, cells from a son that they carried half a lifetime ago. Just really let that sit. Your mom could be 80 years old, still here thinking about the son she raised a lifetime back. And the whole time, without her even having a clue, a living piece of that son is still there, still running his code. She never really fully lost him, not all of them. Which left scientists with this slightly unnerving new question. If these things can hang on that long, how far can they actually get? And the answer takes you somewhere nobody figured was even possible. The brain. Of all the places it could have gone, your mom's brain. Your brain is the most locked down part of you. Full stop. It's got its own security system, the blood-brain barrier, and its whole job is keeping things out. Toxins, invaders, anything that doesn't belong. Almost nothing slips by. So when researchers looked at the brains of women who passed away, they pretty much assumed nothing strange up there. Instead, cells with male DNA, a son's cells inside their mom's brain. and not just floating around the edges, actually woven into the tissue, tucked right into the place where your thoughts live, your memories, the part that makes you, you. Somehow those cells have gone through the single toughest order in the body and just moved in. And here's the thing. A lot of women who have those cells up there seem to have healthier brains in old age than you expect. Coincidence? Or was it the kid somehow still doing something for his or her mom all those years after being born? That one little question basically blew the doors off. This is where it goes from strange to kind of hard to even believe. People started spotting a pattern. The cells weren't just drifting around with nothing to do. They kept showing up wherever most the mother was hurt. A wound, a scar, damaged tissue. They gathered right there like someone had paged them. In some studies, when the mother's organs got injured, the child's cells turned up at the spot and became the exact kind of cell that the body needed to fix it. Heart cells in a damaged heart, liver cells in a struggling liver. So now you've got this picture where the kid, years down the road, is reaching back to help repair the same body that once kept it alive. Think about that. The mother builds the child out of her own body, and the child leaves behind cells that might one day help save hers. A gift going both directions across decades. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's all warm and tidy, because science just doesn't work like that. In other research, those same cells showed up near tumors and diseased tissues, and nobody could say for certain where they, in their fighting the illness, or somehow mixing up and causing it. Healer or invader, protector or risk. After all this time, we still can't tell you which. And that's really the thing that hangs over this whole story. We know the cells are real. We've seen them in the blood, the organs, the brain. We've watched them last for decades. We found living sons inside gray-haired women in their 80s. What we can't answer is the simple stuff. Why do they stay? Why are they actually up in there? And why does the mother's body, which usually jumps on anything foreign the second it shows up, just let those ones live in peace for a whole lifetime? And then there's the one that really scrambles your head. If a mother carries cells from her kid, and she once lived inside her own mother carrying her cells, then how many people are quietly riding around inside one body? Her kids, and maybe her own mom before her. Whole generations folded up into one person, and not a soul any the wiser. We're barely scratching the surface. Every answer just seems to crack open 3 more questions. So, when you were born, the cord got cut, but a piece of you stayed behind, in her blood, her heart, and maybe her mind, forever, quietly living there all these years. Your mom didn't just carry you for 9 months. She's been carrying you ever since, every single day, without even knowing it. So here's the one thing to take from this. Wherever your mom is right now, call her, text her, say thank you, not for a holiday, just because a piece of you never left her side, and it's your turn to be there for her.